Gemini, right before I turned on the camera, I heard building blocks. It feels like there's something you're building and it's happening in increments. It's like step by step. Ooh, baby. Sorry, it came to my mind. But step by step, you are growing something. And it might feel like you want the full picture now, but focus on each step individually, and it will all come together. Don't feel like you need the whole grand proposal I'm hearing or the grand overview before you can feel successful or move forward. Whatever's unfolding in your life or whatever you're stepping into, and maybe we'll find out more information about what that is here, it has these like chunks, these modules, these steps, and you can go one step at a time. And it's perhaps even better to think about it this way because you'll be able to focus in and hone in the way that you should, and in a way that serves you best, in a way where your creativity really comes through, or a way which you just understand something. This could even be steps in a relationship. It's like building, so don't get too ahead of yourself. Something like that. Okay, and I also got a huge channeled message for you, which is pretty intense, and some cards here, so we'll talk about that. But first I got the letters P, K, L, T, R, V. Those might be initials or maybe license plate or something. Then I had the numbers 818, 813. Stability is in the change, and it's a time for seeking out your internal allies, which came with this card, Many Masks, the authentic self. So this card talks about getting to know different aspects of yourself. These could be aspects that are familiar to you, but you haven't really paid attention to, or these could be new parts of yourself that are coming to the surface. And I feel like there's a version of you that you are becoming, or that you're meant to become, that is really, what's the word? Let me see, hold on. Tell me about this version. Protect. That is really protected, and we got this card, protection. Okay, so double confirmation here. There's a version of yourself that's coming into being that has been protected. Maybe it's a part of you that you've protected. You haven't allowed yourself to be this because you were worried in some sense that maybe this part of you is too vulnerable, and you've kept it under lock and key, so to speak. Or perhaps this is a part of yourself that spirit has protected, and now it's finally time for this part of you to come through. It feels like you envision some life for yourself, or just some way you are. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's your intelligence, maybe it's your looks, maybe it's your relationships, your money, I don't know, creativity, but it's like you have a vision of this you, and I'm seeing this as like a very confident you that walks in the room and just like the room stops and looks at you, Gemini. And maybe this is just a metaphor, right? But it's like you're notable. You have a lot of pizzazz about you. You command respect and curiosity from others, and it's great. I love this, like this energy that I'm getting from this self that's coming to the surface. And Spirit really wants you to know that whatever you're envisioning yourself to be, or whatever you would desire to become, is already who you are. It's already part of, if you can imagine yourself in a certain way, you already are that. Maybe on a different timeline, maybe in the future, or perhaps even right now, and it's just been hidden. And Spirit is saying here that it's time to allow yourself to become this version of you, because you're protected, and this version of you, learn. It feels like this version of you is going to teach others something. And you're also going to learn a lot more about your own capabilities, your own powers, as you step into this you that you already are. So the energy's challenging you. We have consciousness. And I feel like what Spirit is saying here with consciousness and many masks is that you don't need to own anything. You don't need to actually do anything to become this you. It's a matter of embodying it, integrating it, internalizing it in your conscious mind to really know that you already are what you want to be, or who you want to be, or where you want to be, who you want to be with. Like, to know it consciously, that is a real reality that is available to you. That's what will unlock the door to this. It's not this job. It's not this house. It's not this relationship. It's not this thing outside of you. It's just a knowingness that unlocks the door. It's a manifestation. Okay? It's a creation of your own mind. And there's also something very important that Spirit has to say about this idealized, maybe it's an idealized self. Could be an idealized self, or this just rockin' self that I see. I just see this super confident you. And this you that I'm seeing, it's like everything you've wanted to be, but you felt you fell short in. Like, now you're that. This version of you, this part of you, is not an imitation of something else that you've seen elsewhere. It's a creation of your own. Your mind is powerful in how it creates and perceives reality, including who you think you are. Perhaps there's an old version of yourself that you've been kind of walking around with, wearing this mask of an old you, and it's not serving you anymore. You're not that. You've outgrown that mask, or that person that you were presenting yourself to be. Or maybe it's not even like you were consciously presenting it. It's just how you convinced yourself you were. For example, maybe you said, oh, I'm just a really serious person. I can't take anything lightly. That's not true. You've outgrown that. Or I'm just a really silly person and I can't take anything seriously. Whatever it is, You are complicated, complex, multifaceted, Gemini energy, multiple selves, many selves. And there's one of these selves that's coming up to the surface, that's been divinely protected, that is of your creation and not like influenced by societal expectations or somebody else's expectations of you. And Spirit really wants you to embrace this. Wow, 8. I think I just saw 8:13. Yeah, okay. So I got this channeled message. It's pretty intense and deep, so let me read it for you, or to you. What you have been through, many don't know, but this is what you chose to protect yourself and to work through. Your priority is to take what ails you and turn it into that which supports you. Don't allow cheap gasoline to fuel your internal fire. Use the power, your power of the wind, which I think is the mind, to oxygenate the heat source burning bright in your heart, in your eyes, in your soul. So Gemini, whatever it is that you went through, or maybe you're still going through it, you kept a lot of it to yourself. And you did this, as Spirit says, to protect yourself. And we had protect and protection. And that's okay. But now the priority is to take any of that lingering energy left over from that situation and use that as the wind to support you, to provide oxygen to the fire inside of you. Now, this part is pretty curious. Don't allow cheap gasoline to fuel your internal fire. Let me take a look and see, what is this cheap gasoline, Spirit? We have winter and full of hope, Hold on to your dreams as they begin to come to fruition. Focus your clear intention. Falling and death. Perhaps something happened last winter that was really difficult for you. Something could have ended. What's the cheap gasoline though? I don't understand. Divergence in the victim. Clear the air. Something may be clouding your judgment. Get some clarity and set things right. Okay, so I feel like don't allow cheap gasoline to fuel your internal fire. I feel maybe somebody was poking at you, inciting you, or maybe this is like little pockets of bullshit going on around you, or maybe it was one big thing. Could be either or. And you felt you needed to clear the air in some sense, or perhaps this was what kept you going or kept you fighting. Because you know when there's stuff going around us that's bothering us or drama, etc., it can really fuel us. It can give us a little bit of extra oomph. It can push us. It can be the catalyst. And I feel like Spirit is saying, okay then, that was okay then, but not now. Now that's more like cheap gasoline. You can't ride out on that energy for too long. Smoke, look at all this smoke here. A lot of smoke, but no fire. And the fire is good for you here. It represents your passion, your spirit. Or you could have been finding little things here and there to give you hope. Maybe you were shopping too much. Maybe you were drinking too much. Maybe, I don't know, any kind of vice that was giving you a little bit of a dopamine hit, like a cheap thrill, social media, whatever. And it was like cheap gasoline that kept your fire going. But I feel like for a lot of you, this is someone else. It's like every now and then their energy came in and just like put a little bit of gasoline on the fire, and it went way, like your energy just went way up, and you're like, oh, I'm dealing with this, or I'm going to do this now. And I don't know, like that can be a positive thing because it can be you transmuting energy, but it almost feels like by operating in that way, maybe in a reactive sense, it's like you're giving power to that gasoline canister, whoever that is for you, okay? I hope that makes sense. This could be somebody who played the victim, had a victim mentality, and you were very dead set on not doing that yourself. So maybe they served as some kind of counterpoint for your mission or your passion or your drive, and you don't need that anymore. Use the power, your power of wind, the power of your mind. To get a heat source going. Okay. Let's pull out the tarot cards and see where we go for you, Gemini. Interesting message coming through. Let me know your thoughts if you feel like it, if you feel guided, on what you think the cheap gasoline is here that Spirit's talking about. Don't allow cheap gasoline to fuel your internal fire. What do you think that is for you? I feel like there's a message here in like you're maturing, your energy is maturing. It's like you're a different kind of alchemist nowadays. So I'm a Gemini moon and Gemini North Node, and I'm trying to think for myself, like applying this message to myself, don't allow cheap gasoline to fuel your internal fire. What would that be for me? And maybe it was like past toxic, shitty, abusive shit situations that I went through, that I alchemized, that I transformed, that I transmuted, that I used as like creative fodder, you know, like I said, you're not going to take me down. I'm going to do something with this stuff you threw at me. That's what I would say my cheap gasoline would be. Because then, I understand. Because as you heal from that, and you transmute it multiple times into many things in your life, the trauma that you've been through, well, you heal from it. You move on from it. But then if you get used to that being the thing that gives you energy, that gives you warmth, light, passion, drive, energy, then it's like you have to keep going back to it when you shouldn't. Does that make sense? Or maybe you even manifest it back into your life because it becomes your primary source of drive. And I feel like Spirit's saying, that's okay, like you did that. But now we're on another level. We're going somewhere else now where what's going to fuel your fire is your power of wind, the power of your mind, and not necessarily what you think about a situation that involves someone else. Your consciousness, right? Consciousness in your challenge. I don't know if that resonates with you. Queen of Swords. Yeah, the power of your mind. Like, I created a lot of like essays and artwork and short stories and poems, and the inception of this channel, all transmuting trauma and pain. And that, the Fool, that worked as a catalyst. But perhaps you're beyond that now. And you could find yourself at a crossroads, feeling uninspired, or like you don't know where to go or what to do, or how to get this new self to come into being. And you need a new source of inspiration, of transmutation. Or maybe you don't need to transmute anything at all. You already have the gold. Gold is malleable. You can rework it now. You don't need to make it. You can just remold it or remake it. Or interesting. Turn the gold into more gold, different gold. Okay, let's see. I feel like there's also a message in here like you don't need more resources. You have everything you need. Even if you think you need more, you don't. Ace of Cups. New gold. From gold. Look at the gold ravens. Or the gold crows. Okay, let's get the rest of the cards out. We're going to get a little more literal. I picked an oracle deck that will hopefully ground this reading a little bit. I'll put all the names of the decks in the description box below. Yeah, exactly. The challenge is death. Letting something go here. A certain energy, frequency that you were working with. This could even be in terms of work. It's like perhaps you always feel like you're the underdog, or that you have to prove yourself, or nobody, like everybody doubts you. And so you use that as like your, your source of like, I'm going to show everyone and prove everyone wrong that I got this, I can do this. And again, that was good and it worked and there's nothing wrong with it. But now doing that would be like cheap gasoline, because like you already know you're good enough and you don't need to prove that to anyone or yourself. Yeah, it feels like something like that. Okay. Oh, lovely. Okay, let's double up here with some oracle cards, Spirit. Tell me more about this message for my dear Geminis. No matter where Gemini is in your chart, this reading could be for you. I want to shuffle again, but I'm seeing home and memories. Perhaps this is linked to something with family or a previous living situation you were in. And I feel like you were the fighter, I'm seeing a cute little chihuahua here, though. So Gemini, I feel. But like, a little growling chihuahua. I'm sorry. But it's cute. Yeah, and it's like you always had to show people at some level. Or maybe your parents, one of your parents was like, had that about them. They had a little bit of bite to them, a little bit of bark, or they had to fight for what they wanted. Or maybe they were deeply involved in some kind of quote unquote cheap gasoline to fuel their fire. And there's something you've been carrying surrounding that. Make it make sense for yourself. Okay, Gemini? Let's see. I never say that. And maybe you have had to make something make sense for yourself. Something about someone else's actions or perceptions of you. But now, Spirit is like, Spirit wants you to know who you are without expectations. 3 more. Like, in my experience, you give Gemini a challenge and they'll go way beyond the expectation to meet that challenge. But maybe you don't need to do that anymore, you know? Is that even serving you? Is that where your energy is best spent? One of the things that my mom taught me, I don't know if it's for better or worse, because I'm a Taurus sun, so I fully said, okay, I agree with this concept, was what's the least you can do and succeed? And I was like, that resonates with me. What's the least I can do here and still be successful? And I feel like what my mom was saying there was, don't put in more energy than you have to give to any one thing. Like, there are overachievers, there are people who just go all out and they don't need to in order to have that success. You can have reserves of energy for yourself. I don't know, maybe that's a side message for someone planning. Okay, so your overall energy, Ace of Cups with the Thinker. I told you, the power of your mind, wind. Your power of wind, Ace of Cups. Your soul, to be the heat source in your soul, your thoughts. Queen of Swords again. Yes, that's you, Gemini. Your thinking is a double-edged sword. And I have 8 of Swords in your advice, so we'll talk about that. But you can think your way through things. You can create new things. You're very inventive, very creative, you have a lot of ingenuity. But you can also get yourself caught up in overthinking, over-planning, worry, unnecessary worry I'm getting. So be careful with that beautiful mind of yours, because it creates and it can destroy. It has the power to do both. I feel like you're on track. As your current energy with the Thinker and the Ace of Cups, and I love how her eyes are closed here. It's like her third eye is activated. You are envisioning this new self coming into being. You are thinking it into form. And it doesn't have to be like super conscious thought. It can be. Maybe you're vision boarding and those kinds of things. But maybe this is just like fleeting, fluttering thoughts, like a feeling that passes through or something. It's like a loose knowing that you're becoming someone new. It doesn't have to be so intentional for everyone. Okay. Like the water element, it can be a little bit fluid and flexible. This new self that's coming into being. There's something about the color red that is really significant. Maybe you want to wear more red or surround yourself with something. Use that red color in some way or another. Also purple. So what you don't see coming, 4 of Swords, it says restore and rejuvenate with satisfaction. Yeah, this is like conserving your energy. Making sure you have a good energy reserve, not overdoing it, not having to prove yourself, or even if it's just to yourself. I feel like ringing this just to clear the energy a bit. There's also an opportunity when you make this switch to, how do I say that properly? yeah, it's like making the switch from, I saw mourning and begin again, from using a painful situation in order to be the catalyst towards something new, using that energy to transform and create, to like a different paradigm of like, okay, I'm gonna create something based on not, how do I say that? I can't, like, I'm having a hard time putting that into words. One second. I want to make sure I say this right. In the hand, the universe is your partner, the divine matrix, and completion, closing door. Finding a different path to create yourself and what you do, other than what you have done before, is like unlocking a new part of your consciousness. It will give you a lot of satisfaction to know that you don't have to go back to something in your memory, in your mind, or you don't have to interact or engage with some cheap gasoline energy in order to prosper. In fact, I feel like closing the door on that part of yourself that has been that is so well seasoned when it comes to transmuting pain will actually provide you a lot of relief. And it's not that you shouldn't ever do this again. I mean, if something happens and you need to go back to that form of magic again, then of course go back to it. But I feel like Spirit's saying, try manifesting or even creating, prospering from a different source of power that exists within you. I hope this makes sense, Gemini. It feels a little bit like big. It feels big. Okay. But you're supported in this. Okay, let's keep going. What you don't see coming. Rejuvenate, restore, and satisfaction. On a real 3D level, you're going to have time for rest. And you may be thinking, because I know I am, and I have Gemini in my chart, you may be thinking like, I'm in for a hell of a busy time. This next few months or years or whatever are going to be intense. There's a lot I need to get done. There's a lot coming through. And Spirit's saying, yeah, but that doesn't have to be the way. You can actually get everything done while still being at peace, still finding time for rest, and feeling satisfied with what it is that you produce. How much can you do and how much can you not do and still be successful at what it is that you want to do? And we're not talking about like half-assing. Spirit's saying put the right amount of energy into something that feels good for you. Forget what everybody else wants you to do. It's your life. It's your energy. And that's the most valuable currency you have, is your energy and where you spend it. And thank you for spending it here, by the way. 5 of Wands for your opportunity with misfortune. See, it's almost like Spirit saying when you go back to conflict or cheap gasoline fuel sources, it doesn't really work. Volcano, yeah, it's a momentary eruption, but it dies down really quick. Or maybe it's uncontrollable. You know, you pour gasoline on fire and it's like, whoa, it's way out of control. It's not sustainable. So try to move away from the energy of conflict or competition, even, especially competition. Your opportunity now is to see any kind of comparison or competition as an actual misfortune, to not allow yourself to feed off of that. Even if it's in a positive way, like there's another way to do this. Because competition can be positive, but not this time for you. There's a different you that's coming into form. And remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Okay, so just do it your way. The challenge for you, Gemini, death mutate, regenerate, and social engagement. A different way of engaging socially with others. This is the 10 of Wands, which is a card of burden. So perhaps some of your social engagements, whether they're work-related or personal social things, perhaps they're creating a little bit of a burden on you. Some of you, I'm just seeing it right here because there's a wine glass. Maybe you want to take a little bit of a break from partaking, if you do, in any kind of mind-altering substance, okay? Just a break. Could be a message for someone if that resonates with you. Let me get a little bit more information on the challenge, a social engagement. There could also be something coming up where people are kind of like surface, or it's kind of like, what do you call it? Like a networking thing, schmoozing, like a schmooze fest of some sort. And I feel like it's not really worth your time. This feels specific to someone. Okay, let's see. What is this for the challenge, Spirit? Knight of Coins, Anchor, and Essence. Tell me one more about the social engagement as the challenge. Eight of Cups. It says shy and timid on it. Ten of Swords. Yeah, I feel like there's something socially here that needs to stop or come to an end, or you should avoid or just take a break from. Perhaps this is a social engagement that breeds competition and conflict, or maybe there's some gossip here in the mix, or unsupportive energies. And if you do find yourself having to engage in something socially, try to stay grounded. Knight of Pentacles. Plan a little bit about on how you're going to deal with different situations that might come up. Like, oh, I have to go to this thing, but I don't want to go to this thing. So maybe I'll create an exit plan at like the half-hour mark. You know, give yourself a way out of something, I feel. And I am seeing this as a future unpredictable event for some of you. There could be some kind of social situation in which somebody tries to shake you up or get you involved in something that you don't have time for or you don't want to be involved with. And you need to really anchor into your essence here and remember what it is that you're prioritizing right now. Your priority is to take that which ails you and turn it into that which supports you. So maybe there's a social situation that is ailing you and you need to figure out like how you can change that whole scene up so that socializing actually supports you instead. There's something going on there for someone about that. Okay, I also feel like this could be work related for some. The Star, you're outshining some people here, and I feel like it's bringing in some competition or conflict unexpectedly. And this could also make you feel like you want to go back in your shell, shy and timid with this crab here and going in the shell. But Spirit's saying you're meant to step into this like beautiful, powerful, magnetic version of yourself that you're becoming. And so don't let other people's jealousy or inability to even relate to you or understand you stop you from shining. Yeah, because that would make sense if you're in a situation and people are suddenly competitive with you and you just don't want the conflict, you won't want the drama, that you just kind of like dull your shine a little bit so they leave you alone. And in some situations, that's good advice. But here I think it's more to just remove yourself from that social situation altogether rather than dulling your shine. Okay. Your advice, Eight of Swords. It says trapped and confined and success. Ooh, your mind has been trapping you and keeping you from your success. That's good news. because you control your mind and your consciousness is your challenge. So, Gemini, it's time to say no more to the worry, to the overthinking, and letting it play such a heavy hand in your success. Your success has already been achieved. You just haven't met that future you yet, but it has happened. So don't let your mind prevent you from actually realizing that future self, from being that future self. Some of you are like really focused in on doing something, and like maybe you're studying or something like this, and you need to just kind of that's how we started, right? There's steps to something, there's modules to something. One thing at a time. One thing at a time, Gemini. And you will build your success. Okay, we're going to see what's going to manifest in the next 3 months for you. And I'm also going to do an extended reading. In the extended, we go a layer deeper into this message and see what else comes through. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description box below. If you're not, that's cool. Don't worry. Just trust you received all the info that you need right here, right now. I just saw the completion again out of my peripheral vision. So I feel like there's a completion in your peripheral vision. If you can focus on that completion, then maybe you can finally close the door on it. You don't have to focus for long. Just acknowledge that something is completing and closing. Okay, the Chariot and obstacles. Ooh, I love this, Gemini. This is the 5 of Wands. So, the Chariot is a card of moving forward, but it's kind of fierce. Like there's armor involved, there's forces of light and dark, there's being divinely guided, there's like an unstoppable force that you have. And you're going to proceed in a way that just tramples over any obstacles in your path. You're not going to be stopped. Unless you allow yourself to, of course, with the 8 of Swords. But it's all up to you. You have the key to unlock your own destiny, your own path, this future you that you're becoming. That's like this fiery you. Look, the fire. Full of passion, zest, pizzazz, personality, character, shining. Nothing is stopping you from becoming what you want to be, Gemini, because you already are that. I hope this makes sense, and I hope this was useful for you. I love you so much. I'll see you next time.